chartered arbitrator, conciliator, negotiator, and mediator. He is Chief Dr. Mike Ozokome, the face of legal justice in Nigeria. His momentous early pilgrimage commenced with a glorious breeze in the respected family of High Chief Abu Ozokome and Chief Madam Alimo Abu Ozokome of Ivukwe town near Aganebode in a so-called East local government area of Edo State, Nigeria. This pro-masses prodigy attended St. Mary's Catholic Primary School, Ivukwe, and St. Peter's College, Aganebode, both in which he made the best graduating student results in 1969 and 1974, respectively. He later briefly attended the Baptist Academy, Lagos, in 1975, before being admitted to the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. He graduated in law in 1980 at the tender age of 23, even after losing one academic session to enable him change from his original English language course to law. Law has always been his dream and passion right from childhood, thus confirming the fact that his venture into the law profession was neither an accident of history nor emergency runway cruising for mere butter and bread. Hence, he was called to the bar in 1981. He has 2 master's degrees in law and another master's degree in arts. Ozokome later obtained his PhD in constitutional law from Alliance International University, Lusaka, Zambia. He is also a recipient of 12 honorary doctorate degrees, honoris causa, from various universities all over the world. These degrees include Doctor of Laws, Doctor of Letters, Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Business Administration, Doctor of Jurisprudence, Doctor of Arts, etc., etc., spread across Nigeria, United States of America, United Kingdom, Israel, Zambia, Turks, Cocos Island, Belize, and Central America. He belongs to all bar associations across the world, and he has been awarded over 16 fellowships in various fields of human endeavors all over the world. Ozokome, a counsel at the International Criminal Court of Justice, The Hague, Netherlands, in 1986, founded the law firm of Mike Ozokome's Chamber, with private offices in Lagos, Abuja, Benin City, and his hometown, Aganebode. This renowned author and television celebrity has actively participated in all national conferences and conversations of 2005, 2009, and 2014, all geared towards re-engineering the Nigerian project. At the 2014 National Conference, where he was a federal government delegate, he was named the Cisjero of the 2014 conference by the conference leadership due to his sterling performance and qualities and contributions at plenary and committee sessions. Mike Ozokome later emerged as one of the pioneers of organized human rights activism in Nigeria, when on October 15, 1987, he co-founded the Civil Liberties Organization, CLO, the first human rights league in contemporary Nigeria. He consequently, in 1998, co-founded the Joint Action Committee of Nigeria, JACON, with the late Chief Gani Fayemi as the national chairman. Ozokome was the national vice chairman, publicity and publication. He had earlier in 1992 solely founded the Universal Defenders of Democracy, UDD, an international human rights league that was launched by the late Justice Dr. Akinlola Agoda. Ozokome also solely founded the Democratic Rights Agenda and Peace Initiative, a peace-building and conflict resolution body. Ozokome later founded the Mike Ozokome Foundation, an NGO solely dedicated to philanthropy and to pull out from the doldrums the poor, homeless, sick, widows, youth, and the most vulnerable members of the society. As a civilian general he is, Ozokome was arrested and detained on several occasions, beginning from 1986, during the Babangida military junta, when he challenged the IBB military regime on his then-mood intention to remove petroleum subsidy. Some of his arrests and detentions, which were graphically captured in the 1989 report of the Human Rights Committee, based in the United States of America, New York to be precise, arrest and detention of judges and lawyers, were all an account of his fiery pro-massive struggles and human rights and pro-democracy activism during and after despotic and repressive military juntas. He was honored with the Peter Benenson Human Rights Awards. Ozokome's incredible passion for justice has pitched him now and again with the authorities and ruling powers. He fights for the defenseless. He fights for the defenseless. He gives voice to the voiceless, empowers the weak, the poor, the denied, the pauperized, the traumatized, the marginalized, and the hopeless. He fights for the oppressed, the helpless, the repressed, the subjected, and the ignored. Ozokome defends and rekindles hope for the forgotten and struggling members of the hoi polloi, the Frantz Fanon's wretched of the earth. The recent judgment in favor of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is one of his most controversial legal victories. A Paul Harris Fellow of Rotary International, Dr. Ozokome has received over 400 awards and honors locally and globally. He is an international ambassador of peace, honored with the award of Global Peace-Loving Citizen of the World, the highest honor given out by the Universal Peace Federation. He is also UN Ambassador for Eminent Peace. He is an honorary citizen and recipient of the keys to the states of Georgia and the city of Dallas in Texas, ambassadorship of Nigeria at the World Forum in Cambridge, Oxford, England, Boston, and San Francisco, USA. He has been variously documented in various biographies and awarded medals of honor by the International Biographical Center, Cambridge, England, as one of the greatest minds of the 21st century, one of 2,000 intellectuals of the world, one of the 100 outstanding personalities of the 20th century. He Ozokome is a recipient of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe Unity Award as the Omezirindi Boihe One na Nigeria, the Herbert Macaulay Leadership Awardee, the Samadu Bello Sarduana Platinum Leadership Awardee, and also the recipient of J.S. Taraka Leadership Award of Excellence and Warrior of Peace, etc., 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 etc. With an all-round attractive stature, a guyish signature hairstyle, ever-consuming smiles blended with well-kept mustache and a very large heart, Ozokome is a very good study in love, generosity of heart, and effective management of home affairs. He is married to a lawyer and gender crusader, Lady Chief Josephine Mike Ozokome, who has a master's degree in law, and the marriage is blessed with 7 children. Mike Ozokome, a teetotaler, loves sports and music, writing, reading, hot arguments, philanthropy, traveling and nurturing of pets and plants. And by Saturday this week, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, more blessings will be showered upon his household as one of his sons goes to the altar with his beautiful bride. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on my honor as Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies and Ambassador of African Agenda 2023, I make bold to present to you the 12th Zik Lecture Series guest lecturer, a senior advocate of Nigeria, commander of the Order of the Niger, officer of the Federal Republic, a famous human rights activist and crusader, fearless, courageous, and inspirational, a chartered arbitrator, conciliator, negotiator, and mediator, and a very good husband and father, Chief Dr. Mike Ozokome.
Thank you very much. Greatest Nigerian students. I didn't hear myself. Great Unizik students. Greatest Nigerian students. For the greatest big boom. Greatest Bagba. Greatest Boo! Greatest Boo! Ba! Boo! Boo! Ba! Boo! Ba! Let me thank the most distinguished chairman of today's event, the 11th Zik Annual Lecture Series, High Chief, Senator, Dr. Arthur Ifeanyi Okowa, Governor of Delta State. The man who occupied virtually every position before he became governor. He was special advisor, commissioner in charge of many portfolios, chief of staff, then later governor, and now vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party for 2023 election. Let me welcome the special guest of honor, the Ochaga Abriba, Commodore Ebitu Ukiwe, the man who was Chief of General Staff and euphemism for Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, between 1985 and 1986 to Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida IBB. A no-nonsense man, a great disciplinarian, so highly principled that when on one occasion, after they finished an Armed Forces Ruling Council meeting, Babangida had announced to a bewildered nation that Nigeria had become a member of the OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference. And the journalist asked Ebitu Kuwe, "Are you aware of that?" He said, "I am not aware. It was never discussed." Then he turned to Afar, the then chief of air staff, and said, "Oh, are you aware?" That is the sterner stuff that man is made of. Professor Charles Esmone, the Vice Chancellor, has done so well in hosting all of us and making the environment conducive for us. The Deputy Governor, Dr. Chief Ibezim, before now, he had been special advisor in so many areas, even in charge of COVID-19. Guess what? He was also special advisor in charge of traditional medicine and herbal practice. Was that what got you the position of Deputy Governor? Thank you very much, sir. Former Mayor of Brent, Chief Ernest, who is the Chief of Staff to the Governor. Let me greet our Governor in absentia, Professor Charles Soludo, my very good friend, but who is hereby today ably represented by his Deputy Governor. I want to specially recognize the very promoter, organizer, and benefactor of this series, which he has carried out consecutively for 11 years, using his personal resources to honor a great sage, one of the greatest human beings to have emerged from the soil of Africa, Dr. Benjamin Nnamdi Chukwuemeka Azikiwe, better known as Zik of Africa. We thank you, sir. High Chief, Dr. Ndi Obi, Senator Ben Obi, the gray bearded man, red cap chief with cowries to show the difference. The man who is a political gladiator, a master strategist, very calm, very loud in silence. We thank you, sir. I greet our host, Izzy, Dr. Gibson, the Ezezu of Awka, first-class traditional ruler in Nigeria. I greet all of you, brothers and sisters, compatriots. There's no way I can forget the fourth estate of the realm. Those camera-wielding, pen-wielding, powerful people recognized specially by Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution. That is why we call you the fourth estate of the realm. The other three realms are the legislature, executive, and judiciary. Today I speak On the topic, Nigeria in the throes of insecurity towards 2023. Any panacea, any cure? Many of you will be disappointed if you think I'm just going to discuss Boko Haram, armed bandits, kidnappers, and stop there. These are all forms of insecurity, quite all right. But I can assure you that they are symptoms of larger forms of insecurity. Insecurity, political insecurity, economic insecurity, social and cultural insecurity, physical insecurity, employment insecurity, family insecurity. When you have these itis, then the physical one becomes a manifestation of these more endemic insecurities, including, of course, educational insecurity. We saw your lecturers just coming back after 9 months. 9 months when our students were sent home. What were the lecturers asking for? A mere living wage, so as not to be beggars in the classroom. They were asking for a better educational system for our children. They've been home for 9 good months. That is a full session when I was in the university gone. I will therefore start by looking at the problems from a more fundamental perspective, which is the coming together of Nigeria itself, herself, as an artificial creation by the colonial masters. The British coming into Nigeria. Remember the West African Berlin Conference of about 1844, 1845, that simply partitioned Africa into 5 domes, giving some as they like to the French, to the British, to the Germans, to the Portuguese. That was just how they partitioned. And by 1897, specifically on the 8th of January, 1897, one young lady called Miss Flora Louisa Shaw wrote an article in the London Economic Times to describe the present area called Nigeria. She said that area around the Niger area. The reason was that she felt that the name by which Nigeria was then known, Royal Niger Company Protectorate, was too long to be the name of a country. So let us call it Niger area, Nigeria. 8th of January, 1897. That young lady was later to marry Lord Lugard, the man who amalgamated the Lagos colony and southern and northern protectorates to form the contraction called Nigeria, on the 1st of January, 1914. Let me shock you. The Royal Niger Company had ruled Nigeria, controlled Nigeria between 1886 and 1899. But when she was divesting her interest in the company, giving Nigeria to the British, the company sold Nigeria to the British for the sum of £865,000. Fellow compatriots, this was the price paid for our dear country, £865,000, which is about 735.2 million naira only. That is how much we were bought. The problems therefore started because before this artificial amalgamation by people who were not consulted, Nigerians were already living independently and satisfied in their various areas and enclaves. The Karnem Bonu Empire, the Oyo Empire, the Igbo city-states, the Hausa city-states, the Benin Empire, with great prominent men and women. People like Jaja, King Jaja of Popobo, King Nana of Ichekiri, Oba Overami Nogbaisi, the man who told the British not to enter Benin in December 1897 because it was the holy month and the British said they must enter. Of course, the guards that were guarding the moat promptly executed them. That led to the infamous Benin punitive expedition of 1897. We must know where we are coming from. Because if you don't know where we are coming from, you can't know where we are, and you will not know how to move forward. Ochagasa, that is why our vehicle has a large windscreen so that you can see the front, the future. But beside the vehicle, there's a small mirror that enables you to look at the past, the back. Dr. Anambra Azikiwe, Amadou Bello, Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Chief Anthony Nahoro, Joseph Taka, Chief Dennis Osadebe, Herbert Macaulay, all of them fought for Nigeria's independence. At a time, great sages like Julius Nyerere, people like Jomo Kenyatta, Kwame Nkrumah, were also holding forth in their countries. But the problem was that many of them were fighting from their ethnic perspectives. Nigeria was craving for independence in the 50s. The North said they were not ready, that it was too early. So many a time, Chief Anthony Nahoro tried to move motion for Nigeria's independence, and it was defeated. Until 1953, when he initiated the move for self-government through the motion he sponsored in the Western Regional House of Assembly. That gave us our independence on the 1st of October, 1960. Then came the coup, led by Major Kaduna Nzogu Chukwuma and others, to deal with the corrupt system, in which many of the politicians were killed. People like Amadou Bello, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Mai Malari, Lagema, and others. The North felt it was a coup targeted at them. That led to the counter coup of 29th July 1966, in which General Johnson Thomas Sumunakwe Aguiyi-Ironsi was killed while visiting Colonel Adekunle Fajiri in Ibadan. The man who refused to leave his guest and said, "Take me along," and they killed them together. So if there's one thing Nigerians are agreed upon, it is frustration that after our independence, we could not and did not get it right. So before independence, Nigeria was regarded as one of the foremost Negro states in Nigeria. And tribal politics actually started when Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the man we are celebrating today, was prevented from heading the government of the Western region by the Action Group, which was said to have prevented him from being elected into the Western Regional House of Assembly and to the House of Representatives in Lagos. This action was said to have prompted his Igbo kinsmen, who told him to return home, where he went and dislodged Chief Ayo Ita, a Calabar man, and Zik became the first premier of Eastern Region. So I laugh when I hear people discuss in a most cavalier, most whimsical, most capricious manner that Nigeria is indivisible and indissoluble. Yes, we want Nigeria to remain one united country. There's no question about that. But let me warn, and let the present government hear me, that unity is not taken for granted. It is nurtured and respected. Ask the former USSR, which by declaration number 142H, the former Soviet Socialist Republic, dissolved into 15 independent states. Russia, Ukraine, the two that are fighting now, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, the three Baltic states, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, Moldova, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Georgia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Yugoslavia broke up into 6 countries. Sudan broke up into Sudan and Southern Sudan. Eritrea and Ethiopia used to be one country. Even the 1.3 billion people of China, they have 9 nations within them. India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan used to be one country. Why am I saying this? We must be careful not to think that Nigeria is simply indissoluble and indivisible without doing those things that should keep our indissolubility and indivisibility together. Our own Professor Chinua Achebe wrote most epically, "The trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership. The Nigerian problem is the unwillingness or inability of the leaders to rise to responsibility, to the challenge of personal example, which are the hallmark of true leadership." Though no right-thinking person can fault this analysis of Chinua Achebe, I want to add that after you recognize Nigeria's three problems as problem number one, leadership, problem number two, leadership, and problem number three, leadership, you must add a concomitant fourth problem, which is as serious and as ravaging: the problem of followership. A weak civil society that allows the leaders to ride slipshod over us. So Zik stands out amongst these pathfinders. That is why they call him the Zik of Africa. No other nationalist has that sobriquet. Zik was born 16 November 1904 in Zungeru, northern Nigeria. His name Nnamdi means "my father is alive." His father, Obed Edom Chukwuemeka Azikiwe, was an Onitsha indigene and clerk in the British administration. The mother, Rachel Chinwe Azikiwe, sometimes called Nwanonaku, whose family was descended from a royal family in Onitsha. Growing up as a young boy in northern Nigeria, Zik spoke perfect English, Hausa. He was later to pick up perfect Yoruba and also perfect Igbo when he came back home. From CMS Central School, Lagos, to Hope Waddell in Calabar, to Methodist Boys High School, Lagos, where he met people like Williams, the son of Akarigbo of Remo. Zik once listened to a lecture that was being delivered by James Agri, a great educationist, who believed that nothing but the best was good enough for Africa. After listening to that lecture, Agri gave the young Zik a list of schools to attend abroad. Zik looked for a seaman and made a deal with him to become a stowaway, like a manual worker with a ship. That was how he landed in the US to attend various universities, including Lincoln. He came back, became active in the Nigerian Youth Movement, NYM, founded in 1933 by Professor Eyo Ita himself. But he was to back Samuel Akinsanya, a founding member, to be NYM candidate for a vacant seat in the Legislative House. By July 8, 1945, Zik supported a general strike. He carried out caustic attacks against colonial governments with his newspapers, for which he was jailed and detained severally. So his unforgettable contributions to pathfinding Nigeria are what the Ojeligbo has been helping us to celebrate year in, year after year. We thank you, sir. So when we talk about insecurity, therefore, we must situate it along those lines to know where we are coming from. So when the Americans and the British started giving security scares towards 2023, telling their citizens to pack and leave Nigeria, you must know that it is a serious matter. Let us not take it for granted. The term security has not today been accorded a universal conceptual outlook due to the fact that it is considered from different dimensions by different writers. Some place emphasis on the absence of threats to peace, stability, national cohesion, political and socio-economic objectives of the country. Some believe that it is freedom from both fear of physical, psychological abuse, violence, persecution, or death, or from want. Some believe it involves the ability of a state to counter threats to its core values and interests. Some believe it is stability and continuity of livelihood. Some see it as protection against all forms of harm, whether physical, economic, or psychological. So many people believe that security is not just about the absence of threats or security, but the ability to rise to challenges posed by these threats. So the opposite of security is insecurity, which again connotes different things. Some see it as uncertainty and lack of protection, from safety. Some see it as a state of fear or anxiety stemming from a concrete alleged attack or lack of protection. Some see it as lack of freedom from danger. So insecurity, therefore, is a state of being susceptible to harm or injury, a state of anxiety, unpleasant emotions, some misfortune. The scope of insecurity, therefore, in Nigeria towards 2023 emanate from various layers: political insecurity, health insecurity, economic financial insecurity, food insecurity, educational insecurity, socio-cultural insecurity. For political insecurity, we can already see from the very offensive narratives by followers of the major political candidates, gladiators, particularly the presidential ones, that if not properly checked, there will be serious problems towards 2023. There are verbal attacks, vituperations, abuses, lacking depth and breadth, instead of focusing on the issues. It is insecurity, social and political insecurity, that have led to self-determination moves. I don't like the word separatist. Nnamdi Kanu is not a separatist. He's a self-determination movement person. And self-determination is recognized by all international instruments, including the United Nations Charter, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Economic and Political Charter. It's recognized all over the world. So it's not, IPOB that he has formed about 2012 did not start as a violent organization. They were marching on the streets of Onitsha, Awka, Aba, Owerri, Umuahia, and other places, saying we want self-determination. Give us Biafra. They were peaceful. They were blowing whistles, wearing berets. Until 14th of September 2017, when the Nigerian army, through Operation Python Dance, invaded the ancestral home of Eze Kanu, the father of Nnamdi Kanu, at Afara-Uku, Ibeku, Umuahia, in Abia State. 28 defenseless and unarmed Nigerians were killed in that bloody invasion. And Nnamdi Kanu managed to escape with the whiskers and by providence, landing in Rome and later Israel, where he swore to affidavits as regards why he had to run for his dear life. So let me tell Mr. President, sir, let me use this opportunity to beg you, Mr. President, sir, on my bended knees, most genuflectingly, even as our case is right now before the Supreme Court, without prejudice to the outcome, release Nnamdi Kanu immediately. It will help to bring peace and tranquility to the Southeast. It is not the other way around. We are not saying you should subvert the judicial process by doing this. You can instruct your Attorney General, who has the powers under Section 174 of the Constitution, to enter a nolle prosequi, a total discontinuance of the whole case. What will bring peace to the Southeast towards 2023 is not the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu, who has become a metaphor for the Igbo struggle. It is rather his immediate release to his people, and they will be happy. We have 374 ethnic groups in Nigeria, as discovered by Professor Onigu Otite, a great demographer. And of these 374 ethnic groups, we only always remember the Hausa Fulanis, the Igbos, and the Yorubas. Have always asked the question, what happened to the other 371 ethnic groups, of which I am one, a minority within a minority, from a village called Ivyukwe near Agenebode, a minority, in Esako, East Local Government Area of Edo State, a minority. Where do you place me? God is not a foolish God. He knew why he planted me there. You must therefore recognize me and give me my full rights as a Nigerian. Because I'm not here as a clapper and as a spectator. That is one of the problems of insecurity in Nigeria. Marginalization non-inclusiveness of certain people, of certain ethnic groups. What happened to the Domas, the Ibiras, the Chekiris, the Urobos, the Jos, the Ogunis, the Efiks, the Bibios, the Esakos, Ishans, Benis, the Igbagis, the Zulus, if you just recognize only 3 to 4 ethnic groups. That is itself a sleeping magma that can erupt into a volcanic eruption. Economic and financial insecurity come there. That is why voters are giving between 5 and 10,000 naira, which is just like $10 or $12, to vote for a particular candidate. Some people are selling the next 4 years just for 10,000 naira. Do you know why? I will tell you. Because they have been so pauperized that many of them feel, let me just get this little one. At least I have seen this one, because our politicians, after they win, they will forget us. That was what Stalin did. Stalin, he called these people and said, let me tell you how to pauperize your people and make them obey you, so that they begin to suffer the Stockholm syndrome. The Stockholm syndrome is a syndrome where the slave falls in love with his master. At dawn, you will call the master, you forgotten, you have not yet slapped me since morning. Why don't you put your legs on my head? That's Stockholm syndrome. So Stanley told the followers, say, bring me a chicken, a fowl. They brought the chicken. He started pulling out the feathers of the chicken, one by one. And the chicken or fowl was creaking, crying, screaming, in pains, in agony. And when Stanley finished plucking out all the feathers, he dropped the chicken on the floor. And the chicken started dwaddling away in pains and agony. Then Stanley dipped his hands in his pocket and brought out grains. And said, that same chicken that was now going away in pains turned back. Stanley bent down, and the chicken started feeding from his palm. He said, that is what you do to your people, to marginalize them, then conquer them. Then they will obey you. Is that what we are seeing in Nigeria? Is that why people will buy, will just be giving 10,000 naira, 5,000 naira, and a small mudu of rice, grains of rice and salt, Maggi cubes, and you go and vote for a person that you would not have voted for ordinarily? So I have said here in my paper, 35 pages, that we are not actually operating that true germ of democracy, which was defined on the 19th of November, 1863, by the great American president Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Declaration, that democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. We are operating different forms of crazes, but not the demo. What are the forms of crazes? Have coined out. One is called electionocracy. What is electionocracy? Electionocracy is a form of government that we practice in Nigeria, where at every 4-year intervals, we have a ritual of going to the polls to elect or select our leaders. After selecting them, the leaders use the first 1 year touring around, greeting the people, thanking them. He uses the second year to construct some roads that will be washed away by the first rainfall, and build culverts, and build hospitals that will not be equipped. 2 years have gone. Then by the third year, underground electionary campaign starts. So they have not governed. They have not given democracy dividends. I call it electionocracy. We have a second crisis in Nigeria, which is not demo. That is judocracy. Judocracy is a form of crazy where presidents, governors, senators, and House of Representative members, and House of Assemblies, and chairmen of local government councils and legislators are conceived, incubated, and delivered in a course of law when litigation comes over election. So it is not actually the people that are voted for. It's not the candidates voted for by the people through the ballot box that may eventually turn up to be your governor or president. I call it judocracy. I have another form of government that we are practicing. I call it executocracy. Executocracy is a form of government where the president sees that the people should even be grateful to him for being their president. He rules maximally. He does what he wants. He behaves like Louis XIV of France, who in 1655 was so intoxicated, so inebriated with power, that he stood in front of Parliament and declared imperiously, "L'état, c'est moi. I am the state." That is executocracy. We also practice legislatocracy. Legislatocracy is a form of government where we have 360 near idle members of the House of Representatives and 109 senators. All of them under the Constitution, sitting part-time. The Constitution allows each of them to sit for 6 months in a year, and that is enough. They legislate on everything except making laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria. They use Section 88 and 89 of the Constitution, their oversight functions, to intimidate ministries and MDAs. They started the doctrine of budget padding. They are the legislature where in appointing ministers and commissioners who should be grilled and properly interrogated with utmost intensity. When they come in, they will say, "Oh, I know you, Chief Michael Zekome, a constitutional lawyer. I know, we know you. Take a bow." He will take a bow and go away. That is a disaster waiting to happen when you do that for critical appointees. The solution to me on that aspect is that we should scrap totally, and hear me loud and clear. I don't have gari or water in my mouth. We should do one of two things. Scrap totally the 360 members of the House of Representatives, and let us have a unicameral National Assembly rather than a bicameral one. Or in the absence of that, because you know Nigerians love position, let us have part-time legislative work, in which case you are paid sitting allowance whenever you sit. One effect of this, SARS, one effect, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, is that it will make the center less attractive. Only people who are already satisfied, people like Professor Okonkwo, who are already, celebrated businessmen, they already have the means. They don't need people like Ojeligbo. They will not go to the center to go and steal. They will just want to go and make laws because they don't need the money. They just want to serve their country. Vandalism and theft of our oil, sir. Mr. Governor, sir. Vandalism and theft of our oil is a major insecurity challenge we are having. Let me shock you with some figures. Nigeria, the 15th in the world, produces 1,938,543 barrels per day. Of this, we consume 428,000 barrels equivalent per day. Do you know what the Minister of State himself, Temipre Silva, told us last month? He said 700,000 barrels are stolen every day. 700,000 barrels. These are not matchsticks. These are not cigarettes. It had to take the government to hire a company called Tantila Security Services Nigeria Limited, owned by government, Ekpomopolo, popularly called Tompolo. Within 1 month, that man has discovered so many leakages in the system. 58 illegal oil pipelines. 58 illegal oil pipelines running through kilometers of land where people are just mining their own oil. One of them was even actually close to a military security post, less than 1 kilometer away from the Focados export terminal in Ogulaga, Burutu local government area of Delta State, where were the military personnel, where were the naval officers. Flooding has become another natural disaster in security. More than 9 states to 12 states in the south and north have been flooded. And the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Relief, Dr. Sadia Umar Farouk, has argued that also the landlocked state of Jigawa was even more affected by floods than Bayelsa, located in the Niger Delta. Of course, we all know, can't floods be controlled by building dams? And do you know what brought the flood about? The Lagdo Dam in northern Cameroon, there was excess water, and it started flooding, coming to Nigeria, the giant of Africa. Because we had failed to build our own counterpart dam, which was supposed to be Dasin Hausa Dam in Adamawa State, to contain that excess water. That is why we are being flooded. We have educational and social insecurity, which we have just seen from ASU emerging from the code. after 9 months of bloody skirmishes with the federal government. What have they gained? I learned that they have just decided to pay them half salary. Was that really what they were fighting for? I don't think so. That was not what they were fighting for. You are treating the merchants of knowledge with disdain. It's garbage in, garbage out. What do you want them to teach their students? Some lecturers have therefore become subservient, even to some rich students that we know. Some rich students build houses in university towns. They have house helps. Some lecturers go to visit them and even say yes, sir, to them. Some students determine what mark they want, if it's an A or B or C, because there's a prize. A country cannot grow like that. We're in trouble. Our educational infrastructural facilities are in shambles. Our funding of education is near zero. The proportion is disproportionate to our GDP. This has itself led to capital flight because many of our students are going abroad. Of course, all the children of the rich, they are not here with you. Do you see? Have you seen children of the governors and ministers and chairmen of local government? Are they in your schools? They are not here. It's Ikemefuna's daughter or Okemezi's son. You won't hear the son or daughter of a minister here or a governor here. No. They are in the Ivy League towers across the world. So Nigeria has literally borrowed out our future with a frightening debt of 42.84 trillion naira. We have just used 1.33 trillion naira to service domestic debt in the first half of 2022. Budget deficit increases alarmingly. Of the 20.51 trillion naira 2023 budget, only 8.2 trillion, 43% is earmarked. A humongous 8.2 trillion. That's 43% is earmarked for recurrent expenditure. The DG of Debt Management Office recently alarmed Nigerians, and it has been faulted, that claim, that it was even much lower. That Nigeria's total debt as at March 2022 stands at 41.60 trillion naira. So we have been running budget deficits. According to World Bank survey, report of 197 countries, Nigeria came 195, beating only Yemen and Afghanistan in budget deficits. In 2022 alone, Nigeria used 10 trillion naira for oil subsidy. It is estimated to be 9 trillion naira next year. I thought the present players, the present minders of government, I thought in 2012, January, they carried out Operation Occupy Nigeria when they said there was nothing like oil subsidy, that it was a scam, forcing Jonathan to reduce it from 120 to 95. How much is your liter today? Nigeria has virtually almost been sold to China. Our trade deficit is 80% to 200% China. They are everywhere. From railway to electricity, everywhere. When you go to some markets, you see Chinese now even selling a bakery. popcorn. So we have therefore seen that these insecurities are there. They are caused by bad governance, economic imbalance and marginalization, fear of non-recognition by the bigger ethnic groups, ethno-religious intolerance. When you are filling a form, they say, what's your name? I say, Michael Zekome. They say, your state of origin. I say, Edo State. They say, local government. I say, Sako East local government area. The next question, they say, religion. I say, Christianity. Why would a country that wants to be cemented, that wants to be unified, that wants to be one, be asking for your religion and your ethnic group? The profiling has already decimated you, has made you not to feel to belong to a country called Nigeria. Go around on Sundays in the major cities of Nigeria. You will see Igbo unions, Hausa unions, Edo unions, having meetings across Nigeria. How many times do you have Nigeria unions meeting? Because everybody believes in his own enclave, not in Nigeria. We have to work towards that very assiduously. Ethno-religious intolerance is there. Of course, we all know the weak security apparatchik that we operate, which allow Boko Haram to intimidate us, armed kidnappers and bandits to invade our farms, kill our husbands, rape our mothers, our sisters, and our daughters without any repercussions, carry AK-47 rifles, with the government being helpless. All these, sirs, Mr. Governor, sir, most of these problems originate from our loss of traditional values and ethos that we grew up to meet. Respect for one another, respect for seniority, hard work, dignity of labor, integrity, character, honor. They have gone. National honors and doctorate degrees, honoris causas, are now given to certificated thieves and marauders. You see them sitting at the front pews of our churches and sitting on the front rows of mats in our mosque because they have one commodity: money. Nobody cares how that money was got. The porous borders, which have allowed criminals from neighboring countries to invade us undeterred, is there. And of course, the reality of unemployment and grinding poverty, which make most Nigerians to live below poverty line. So we have seen, therefore, this insecurity towards 2023 having negative impact across all sectors: educational sector, agricultural sector, even foreign direct investment. Don't we have solutions? Is it just damage assessment? No. We have solution. There is light at the end of the tunnel. One of them is that Nigeria must start a quick leadership recruitment process by which you grow the leaders of tomorrow, today. We must begin to prioritize competence, merit, and patriotism above primordial considerations such as ethnicity, religion, and social status, social stratification. We must call a thief, a deviant, a deviant. We must prioritize education. as the gateway to success. We must allow rule of law to triumph. We should disrespect those who made their money illicitly and have flaunted their wealth. We must give serious reorientation to our armed forces members, including the police, to respect institutions. China, for example, even though a one-party dictatorship, they have zero tolerance for official corruption. They kill you straight away. INEC must brace up and deploy technology to ensure that the next elections are violence-free. And they can be violence-free by allowing votes to be counted and the votes to count. They must therefore deploy technology, as they have told Nigerians they are doing. That is what we give Nigerians their own democracy, instead of electionocracy, executocracy, judocracy, and legislatocracy. So the first task, therefore, as I wind up, before the next government, because we must still operate the present faulted, fundamentally flawed constitution, which is actually a schedule attached to Decree number 24 of 1999, made by General Abdusalami Abubakar. We must still have the present election based on that faulty document, which is almost impossible to amend under Section 9, having failed in our various constitutional experiments. 1922 Clifford Constitution, 1946 Arthur Richards Constitution, 1951 McPherson Constitution, 1954 Little II Constitution, 1960 Independence Constitution, 1963 Republican Constitution, 1979 Obasanjo Constitution, 1989 unused IBB Constitution, and the present 1999 Constitution, already amended 4 times, given to us by the military as Decree number 24, which was not made by the Nigerian people. Therefore, the next government must endeavor to convert a constituent assembly of the people to agree on how we want to live together. If a marriage is no longer working between a husband and wife, they must sit down to negotiate and talk so as to prevent a divorce. Is that not so? We must renegotiate our stance so that the present behemoth federal system, which is actually a unitary system, will be pulled down. The 167 items on the exclusive legislative list must be devolved mostly to states and local government areas. I just came back from the US. Do you know Miami International Airport? Yes, yes. And Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta, Georgia. The busiest airport in the world are controlled by local government areas. Your airport here and every airport is controlled by the federal government. Even marriage certificate, that means your relationship between a man and a woman is controlled by the federal government, the Matrimonial Act. Licensing, you want to license your car, the federal government has to give you a licensing plate. We are not practicing federalism, but a unitary form of government. That is why your 36 commissioners for finance go to Abuja at the end of every month with cap in hands to go and take allocations under Section 162 of the Nigerian Constitution to go and spend. No state is working hard again to outdo the other, as we used to do during the time of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Dr. Akanu Ibiam, Dr. Michael Okpara of the Agrarian Revolution fame. People like Amadu Bello, who built the Northern Nigeria Development Corporation. Awolowo, who gave free education to his people. Built the Liberty Stadium, first television station in Africa, University of Ife. There was true fiscal federalism under the 1960 and 1963 Constitution, because royalty was paid 50% to regions that produce their commodities, while 20% was paid to the government at the center, and 30% was shared by all the regions, including the region that had already taken 50%. That was why Anambra Zikwe and Akanu Ibiam, Michael Okpara, they could build the presidential hotels in Port Harcourt and Enugu, the Transamadi Estate in Port Harcourt and Enugu, the Obodukato Ranch, the Enugu Stadium, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. That's why Ahmadu Bello could build Hamdallah Hotel, could build Yankari Game Reserve, could build Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, because he could control the cotton, the hides and skin, and the famous Kano Granite Pyramid, while Awo could control cocoa. In the Midwest region that was created out of Western region on the 10th of August, 1963, Dr. Dennis Osadebe from Asaba here, with Jereti Marere, Oketiebo Mimiejo, Kesinti Momo, Esogban Edebiri. They could use the timber, rubber, and plywood commodities of the Midwest region to build the glass factory at Ugeli and the Okpela cement factory, amongst others. Let us go back to brass tacks. Let's go back. Let's have an indigenous, autochthonous people's constitution, subscribed to by the people, believed in by the people, enjoying the people's legitimacy. This has been successfully done in America between May and September 1787, as I wind down, sir, when 50 great Americans, some say they were 55, met in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to have a more perfect union, because they were already confederates. It was that conference that threw up great federalists, great Americans, like Washington, after whom Washington, D.C. is named. People like Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, Thomas Jefferson. It was at that conference they agreed on the doctrine of executive presidency, federalism, separation of powers, a doctrine that was already in 1748 popularized by Baron de Montesquieu, a great French philosopher. They also agreed on judicial review. Let us meet and have a new constitution for ourselves, subject it to the people's referendum. That's the task before the next government. It has been done successfully in Egypt. It was done successfully in Libya, in Tunisia, in Iraq, in Iran, in Bangladesh, in Eritrea, in South Africa. So why not Nigeria? God bless Nigeria. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that standing ovation for him. And thank you, sir, for that wonderful presentation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, may I respectfully welcome the Chairman of Anambra State Council of Traditional Rulers and the Obi of Onitsha, His Royal Majesty, Obi Alfred Achebe. Abogidi. May I welcome the CEO for Awka Millennium City, Dr. Clem Ngobo. We welcome you. The Awka National Assembly candidate for Awka North and South, Anambra State, Nigeria, Honorable Obinwankwo, is also here for ABGA. Thank you. I also welcome Chief Ken Ekwenugo. We welcome you. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. May I humbly and respectfully invite the former Chief of General Staff, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Commodore Ebitu Kiwe, GCON, to address this gathering. Round of applause for him.
I watched the note I play. I watched the note I play carefully.
I am on your behalf. Welcome the Barrister Ezekome. It has been a long journey today for him. It's not easy to discuss in a crowd like this all the problems of the state. You get caught in it. They are done very well, and I think the listening public has also done very well. One thing I would like to say is that the way things are, you can hardly talk on anything without sounding as if you are virtually running down the speaker. The problem is that a lecture like this, a lecturer can be chaired by anybody. I am a bit reluctant to criticize because that is not a solution to what has been said here today. We as a nation, we have a problem, so we better face it. If the place has crashed, we better admit the country has crashed in our hands. Are you listening to me? The sort of thing we are talking about is not the thing a normal group will be discussing. Therefore, any suggestion that comes to disagree or run down anybody does not help us at all. We just have to recognize the areas we have to focus on. As a matter of fact, I believe the first thing may be to bring out a few knowledgeable people who can come down and list topics that the nation may have to face. And when we do that, it may be necessary for them to name those who will have to look at those points. Because what are you going to criticize now? As far as I'm concerned, the country started sliding down gradually until it sounds as if it just collapsed. I know there are some who are having doubt about the election, whether it will even hold. Is it not true? Or if it holds, whether it's likely to give the sort of result that will make us happy. It's a problem. And so whoever has made contribution here seems to recognize that the country itself is in trouble. You can imagine when we started in the morning till now. How many people have spoken? Some spoke more on the political angle, avoiding issues. The university, being an academic institution, focused very much on education. While we didn't come here to learn education. A focus on education. How many of you came here to learn about education? It's not the point. It's not the point. But you can't come here also and criticize those who have talked about education, because as far as they are concerned, that is the only topic they can touch without committing a crime. So, well, my view is to thank all those who have spoken. All of them. Because they spoke the way they felt. The anger in them. If we are to take anything out of this place, we must get some people who will remind us of what topics were handled by the speakers, and then come up with suggestions on what to do with those things. Your Royal Highnesses, the Obi of Onitsha is here. He came in maybe while I was speaking. Amanweze, you, Chief Ben Obi. These are all very brilliant people. All of them. They are not the common people you'll find everywhere. They are brilliant people. I don't know whether it was under this I was supposed to have spoken or under what somebody else has said. Therefore, recognize one thing, that the country is in trouble. Two, if the country is in trouble, what do we do? The university can come up with their ideas on what we do. And from there we can move on. Even students can make suggestions, not just chair. I know that the governor of, what do you call it now? Delta State, yes. The governor of Delta State came with his full team, like his executive council. They, as they are, can identify each, as it affects each commissioner, they can do a good job on that. But then they are not going to do it out of the issue of their own state. They have to do something that will affect the whole nation. That is my view. Well, I don't know what to say. I know some chiefs were making statements about having room to make their own complaint of what they saw happening. But the issue is, if we are talking about the state, then we better face it. If we are talking about this nation in which all of us are involved, we may expand a little bit and draw out a program that will involve all of us. And maybe within a week, we'll be able to find a way of what to do. I don't think I have much to say. Thank you very much.
Biko kwalụ na aka na ọ dụrụ ofele. He spoke like a statesman he is. We salute you, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Please, we want to fast forward to presentations immediately. Immediately after the cake, we now move to presentation. So please, may we get ready to move down to do the Zik birthday cake. May I invite, with due respect, His Excellency, the chairman on today's occasion, distinguished Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. Ekweme, we salute you. Our dear governor, the working governor of Anambra State, the people's governor, ably represented by our own dear, young, dynamic Dr. Onyeki Bezim. Abogidi will also join. The guest lecturer, please. We are joining the dean of the faculty. I don't know.
Ruba, 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 Ruba.
Thank you. We do that very fast. After which we do presentation. Thank you very much. We just want to count in celebration of the great Zik of Africa. in a special way. Oh, the Chief of General Staff is coming. The #2 man in Nigeria under General Ibrahim Babangida. Thank you. This is a beautiful one. So we count, once we count 3, we cut. 1, 2 in celebration of Zik, and 3. Round of applause, please. Thank you. We will do the presentation here immediately. We do the presentations here. The Dean of the Faculty. We do the presentations here immediately so that we cut everything. Thank you. Okay. So the Executive Governor of Delta State, the Delta community in Anambra wants to present an award to His Excellency Thank you very much. The Dean of the Faculty, please. Your Excellency, please. Thank you. Place the microphone. Hello.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Delta State, who is the chairman of the 11th Zix Lecture Series. This is a Public Leadership Award presented to His Excellency Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, CON, the Executive Governor of Delta State, the chairman of the occasion of the 11th Zix Lecture Series. Congratulations, His Excellency. Ekweme.
Congratulations to His Excellency. Special award from the Anambra Azikiwe University, Awka. Thank you.
This award from Anambra Azikiwe University Faculty of Social Sciences is presented to the guest speaker, Chief Dr. Mike Ozekome, SAN, CON Ofer, as a guest speaker for the 11th Zix Lecture Series. Thank you very much for that erudite lecture. Congratulations, sir. You have to inform me. The governor. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Chuguma Saludo. This public leadership award is presented to you today by the Faculty of Social Sciences, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, as the chief host of the 11th Zik Lecture Series. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. The former Chief of General Staff.
Congratulations, sir. The Sixth Leadership Excellence Award is presented to you today. His Excellency Commodore Ebituku, CON, former Chief of General Staff, and as chief guest of the 11th Sixth Lecture Series. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you and congratulations.
Adia Sakata Namulu no Sadebenu Adia Sadebe Mulubin Osadebe Mulubin Obia Muzelo Silu Sadeben.
Thank you very much. Music department, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you and congratulations. Please, may I humbly invite the advisor Zik Lecture Series, Professor A.U. Nonyalo, to please come for a few minutes address. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the chairman of today's occasion, Senator Ifeanyi Ato Okowa, Governor, Delta State and Vice Presidential Candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Vice Chancellor, Professor Charles Okechukwu Simone, Fellow Academy of Sciences, VC Nnamdi Azikiwe University, the Chief of General Staff, Commodore Ebitu Kiwe, Ochiaga Ndibo, Distinguished Senator Ben Ndiobi and spouse, Odinaka, Commander Order of the Niger, Your Excellency, may I please stand on already established protocol. Your Excellency, it is indeed gratifying and with a sense of fulfillment that on behalf of the Faculty of Social Sciences, the organizing committee led by Professor Ifi Idunu, that I stand out to make this brief vote of thanks to thank our guests here gathered today for being part of this wonderful ceremony. I remember in 2006 when Senator Ben Ndiobi thought it wise to endow this lecture under the Vice Chancellorship of Professor Ilochi Okafor. He has done this with a sense of humility, although with aplomb and panache. My dear friends, it is therefore with all respect and sense of gratitude that we thank you for gathering here today. His Royal Majesty, the traditional ruler of Awka, Awka, His Royal Majesty, Obindemeka Achebe, flew in straight from the airport, and all the other dignitaries, the Executive Council from Delta State Government, members of Governing Council and Senate of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, all deans, directors, professors, and staff and students. It is with pleasure that we thank you for what you have done on behalf of the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences and on behalf of the Vice Chancellor for assembling here today to do a wonderful job. But we know that you continue to support us, and we expect that, like the distinguished senator said, that it will be all next year. I'm sure that next year we will be holding this program at the Zik Lecture Series Institute and Institute of Legislative Studies. My dear friends, thank you so much for your attendance today. God bless all of you. God bless all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's been an interesting moment of intellectual speeches and deliberations here at ASU Secretariat, Anambra University, Awka in Anambra State, venue of the 11th Zik lecture series. And it is at this point we will draw the curtains on this live broadcast as we now take you back to the studios in continuation of our regular programs. My name is Solomon Etik. On behalf of the live broadcast crew, I say thanks for watching and bye for now.
Freedom, education,